City of Stevens Point Special Police and Fire Commission meeting, recorded January 6, 2022.
All right, well, I have 2 o'clock, so let's call to order the Police and Fire Commission for January 6th of 2022. First item on the agenda is to call the roll, please, Leanne.
Kirschling?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Ostrowski?
Here.
Morozek?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Okay, everyone is present and accounted for. We're going to move on to agenda item number 2, which is the approval of minutes from last month. And because I forgot to put an item on the agenda to have any remarks from the president, I just want to say a very large thank you to Mr. Gary Westcott for all his years of service to this community. And we wish him the best in everything that comes his way. So with that, we're looking for the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion from Commissioner Ostrowski.
Kirschling second.
Kirschling second. Any comments or questions about the minutes?
I want to recuse myself from the vote. I haven't had a chance to review minutes, and I also wasn't on the commission at the time.
Okay, noted. So we have a motion and a second, and Commissioner Taylor's recusing himself. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 3 is the confirmation of bills, and you should have those from Leanne. Should have forwarded them to everyone. Commissioner Ostrowski, we traditionally start with the secretary, so have at it.
All righty. And just a note for you, Jerry, you need to appoint somebody, either yourself, myself, or somebody to approve these before minutes, before the meetings.
Okay.
Going forward. But in reviewing the minutes, the bills, excuse me, I have but one, and that is if somebody from the ambulance service could explain to me, there's 2 items on their list that I know they're pieces of equipment. I'm just curious of what they are. One is a SAM pelvic sling, and the other one is a Swiss Force multi-tool. Chief, do you know what those are on the ambulance service?
Who's taking it? Gemza?
Comes is going to take it.
All right. The SAM pelvic sling is a sling to use to stabilize people who have fractured pelvis or dislocated pelvises. And it's an actual specific piece of equipment. So our EMS equipment committee went through things that they would like to purchase, and this was one of them. And I think it's a great idea because, believe it or not, in the month of November we actually had 4 fractured pelvises, and that was where the whole, where it was like, hey, we can use this towel and try and do the best we can, but this is a specific sling or splint for the pelvis.
Okay. And Joe, what is that Swiss Force multi-tool?
Well, hopefully nobody's listening. That's the EMS week gift that we give to our paramedics.
Okay, no. All righty.
That's usually a surprise, so I apologize.
Okay. I
Not
just
so much anymore.
with that, President Moore, I would see no other problems on the bills, and I would in fact like to compliment all the fire department, the ambulance service, and the police department for staying within budget. And excellent. I would make a motion to accept the bills as submitted.
Kirschling second.
Second from Kirschling. Any other questions or comments about the bills from any other commissioners? Robert, if you could please call me and remind me that we need to get together beforehand again.
Sure.
I didn't get it.
I'll call you this evening.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. No, I didn't get an operator's manual for this job, so I need some assistance to get all these things done.
That's why I brought it up.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second to approve the bills from police, fire, and ambulance. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 4. Number 4 is discussion with possible action in the reclassification of one administrative assistant position within the Records Bureau of the Police Department. Chief Zenner, I believe this is yours.
Yes, first, is anybody experiencing a lag at all on, or is it just my computer?
It's the cold you have is probably what it is.
That could be it. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing it or not, so.
I think Leanne is.
About 15 seconds, everything kind of freezes up on the. I don't know, she's pretty, she might, yeah, she's deep thought there.
You've got
Okay,
a
I'm gonna go
virus.
ahead, so. I've just noticed that yesterday starting the meeting and then today, but basically what this position is, it's we're looking, I don't know if reclassification is going to be the proper term or administrative assistant too, but I'm looking to take one of these positions to personnel to essentially move it into a lead position within our records management system. Currently, we have Leanne, that's a supervisor in there, and we have added some extra assignments to this position that has been throughout the years held by other people within the department, including myself, as I progressed up. And we're looking to more centralize, locate that within our records personnel. And but ultimately, we had to classify with that job description that we put out as an administrative assistant too. That depends on how that would go through personnel. I know Lisa Yakush is on, and she may be able to explain that process a little bit better than me. But ultimately, before I can take it to personnel, I need to bring it to the Police and Fire Commission to ensure you're okay with me moving forward on that. This particular position that we're looking to add would be to one of our administrative assistants. Moving it at this point, we're going to term it as an assistant 2. It would essentially serve as a lead in that role, and if in the case Leanne is out of the office for a particular amount of time, that position would be able to elevate up and backfill some of those duties that that she does in her office. Also added to that position would be audio and video evidence coordinator, as we have experienced in the last 5 years in particular. The amount of video that has become evidence, body cams, much of this requires redaction when we're talking about open records. There's a significant amount of time into that and education on how to use redaction software. And we're looking at adding that particular duty to this position as a coordinator, including wireless telephones. This is a position that I took over early as an assistant chief, where I was basically coordinating and all our wireless communications. I'm looking to move that into our records personnel, and this position would oversee the upkeep on all our cell phones, basically. Another position would be a TAC officer. It's a time agency coordinator. That's through the state that we used to run license plate records checks, criminal history. At this point, Assistant Chief Mike Rotier has grabbed that, and at points we've had lieutenants doing it in the past. Actually, that was a position held, if we want to go back 10 years ago, when we had a lieutenant assigned to our records department. That changed when we had some reorganizations. And since that point, it's kind of grabbed onto whatever person, and they've carried it through their career here at the PD. But we'd be looking to transfer that to this administrative assistant 2 position, and that handles all audits. We do yearly audits on those systems. And lastly, a department administrator for our records management system. We're currently going through a transfer to a new records management system that's going to be partnered with pretty much every law enforcement fire entity within the county. And with that comes a significant amount of upkeep, ad hoc reporting processes, and an increase in essentially the educational level to do that particular duty. That would be all would essentially be moving to this one position. My main hope is just obviously to have a second a chain of command structure within the records department, and a backup for Leanne when she's not here. But obviously we have other duties that we wanted to move to that position. So in a nutshell, that is what it is. I'm looking for approval by the Police and Fire Commission to move forward with that reclassification.
Mr. Ostrowski.
Chief, are you looking to add a position or move somebody that's already in there to a higher position?
It's just reclassifying a person that already exists. We're not adding a position. Okay. And I must add on to this. This will be coming from within our budget. Just basically moving some budget lines to take. Obviously, there's going to be a raise involved here, but we've also eliminated a couple crossing guard positions. Just because we can't get anybody to fill those positions and the lack of use. So we'll be able to capture some money out of that payroll and move it to our records department.
Well, Chief, on my behalf, I'd just like to comment that makes it sense in this day and age where technology is going more and more, and we always need a backup system. I fully endorse anytime you got a backup system within any department. So I would be strongly in favor of this.
Okay, Mr. Kirschling, Commissioner Kirschling.
Chief, how much are crossing guards paid?
I believe they're up to $15 per crossing. So when you're looking at throughout the course of a year, I'm going to have to double check on what those numbers are. From what I think we have about $40,000 budget line annually. And obviously with the elimination of 2 crossings, that's probably going to be able to fund that position in and of itself.
Well, we don't need to have the conversation at this juncture, but maybe for next year's budget, we may want to talk about increasing that if we're having a problem with shortage. Maybe we can make some incentives for people to fill those positions, because those positions are very important in our community, keeping our kids safe crossing these major 4-lane roads.
Thank you, Mr. Kirschling. We need to have, yes, Mr. Commissioner Taylor.
Chief, I'm just curious, once, if we approve of this, what's your timeline to implement this change?
What I would be looking at, I won't be able to make it to a committee, personnel committee this month. So most likely that would be submitted to personnel committee next month. And then ultimately upon approval, that would be sent to Baker Tilly to evaluate where that would fit into the pay plan or adjust what that name could be. Again, that's where I go back to at this point. I'm using the term administrative assistant too, just because that position already exists within the pay plan. That might come back as something different. And then upon receiving that, I'm kind of at the whim of Baker Tilly. And then obviously then I'd have to bring it back through personnel committee again after that.
Okay, Tom, are you looking for a motion to move this forward?
Yeah, I'm looking at about a 3-month process.
Okay.
Or hopefully this will be done.
So this wouldn't be a Q1 thing. This would be a Q2 mid-year. You're hoping to go live with this.
Yes.
Okay.
Chief Center, are you looking for a motion to move forward with this, or are you looking for something more specific?
No, I'm looking for a motion to approve moving forward with this reclassification in our records department.
Okay. Does anyone want to make that motion? Commissioner Ostrowski moves.
I will wholeheartedly make a motion that we endorse the idea of administrative assistant 2 for the police department.
Okay. Do we have a second?
No, second.
Second from Commissioner Morozic. Any more comments or questions for Chief Zenner, or comments or questions about this item? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Please move forward with that, Chief.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 5 is the approval of Officers Gartman and DeRoser to regular police officer status. They have fulfilled all their duties and requirements, Chief?
Yes, everyone should have received a letter from the lieutenants on their respective shifts. Would be Lieutenant Steve Spath, who's currently overseeing Officer Kim DeRoser, and Lieutenant Greg Bean, who's overseeing Officer Gartman. Officer Gartman has been on our night shift, and Officer Kim DeRoser has been on one of our rotating shifts. Both have performed meeting expectations, and they have completed their 18 months, and we're requesting to move them forward to regular status.
Okay.
This is a typical example of how time flies. I remember when they were recommended, and I'm going, their probationary period is over already. I would like to move forward that we recommend both officers be promoted to full-time.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Ostrowski. Do we have a second?
I'll personally, no, go ahead, Taylor.
Thank you.
Commissioner Taylor, second. Motion and a second. Any more comments, questions? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And we are moving on to agenda item number 6, which is the police chief's report.
I've been stacked here. I've got 3 things in a row, so.
Well, that's before your voice gives out.
Yeah, no kidding. Just a few things of note that come out on this. Lieutenant Dana Williams completed the run, hide, fight active threat training with all city employees. She's did an outstanding job on this. Last month, if you recall, she assisted Portage County Sheriff's Office with this training for all county employees. And we wrapped that all up. We actually had a couple Zoom sessions that were recorded, so any employees that were unable to attend can follow up with that. Other than that, we had 5 use of force incidents throughout the month. Nothing, no injuries out of these particular events. And Commissioner Taylor, you are new to this. Every use of force having a particular month is reported. Lieutenant Joe Johnson provides me with a narrative on each one of these particular topics, and they end up in our monthly report. And my hope, I was actually going to have them this month to give a presentation on what goes into that use of force and how that is identified. It just hasn't worked out. So at this point, it's either going to be February or March. Hopefully we'll be able to have him come on and speak to the commissioners of what it entails going through our use of force reporting. One of those incidents was a SWAT call out on an incident in Plover. As you're aware, we do have a joint SWAT team with Plover. And with that incident, there was an individual that held someone at knife point. We did make entry into that residence. We did have canine. Canine Barry was actually the canine unit that was used to assist. And we did locate the individual in a crawl space hidden out of view with the use of some equipment that we to be purchasing in the future. I'll just leave it at that for now. But we did make a successful apprehension, and again, no injuries on that or any of our other incidents. Really about the only thing, New Year's Eve, normally that's pretty busy for us. We had obviously several calls, but nothing of significant issues to report on that. So that was one good thing out of the end of the December.
Very nice. Any questions on the chief's report? I'll make a motion to accept the report and place it on file. Do we have a second?
Second, Morozek.
Second from Morozek. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 7, discussion possible action of recruit salaries for the fire department. Chief Finn, hi.
Hi, thank you. First, I want to welcome Commissioner Taylor to the Police and Fire Commission. If you would like to know how the operations of the fire department work, more than happy to get a hold of myself, Assistant Chief of in charge of EMS operations, Chief Gemza, or Assistant Chief of Fire Department Ops is Chief Moody. We'll be more than happy to sit down and explain how we do it and why we do it. So I want to welcome you to the commission.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
What you have, I believe, in your packet is part of the contract under Article 19, salaries. Section D, recruit salaries. The last sentence is the Police and Fire Commission, at its discretion, may start new employees above the start rate with documentation of relevant experience. And this has to do with retaining retention and basically recruitment of new employees. If someone from a different department wants to come over here and has years in training, at the discretion of the Police and Fire Commission, we can offer them a higher rate of pay than a normal starting salary. Their vacation and seniority all stays the same, but we can offer them more money once we present it to you at your discretion for approval. And as I said before, we're trying to do everything and anything to get people to come here and stay here. And this is just another way that we feel we can do it. We're probably going to run another test sometime in March, and I would like to be able to have this when we put out the notice of application that will accept lateral transfers. So I need approval. I just wanted to, it's already in the contract, but I wanted to bring to your attention that it is in the contract and you have the discretion. And if you're in favor of this, we can move forward. If you're not, then we'll just leave it as is.
Okay, Commissioner Kersling.
Chief, what does that look like with the current members of the department? If you're raising the base, is it above a current, or is everybody move up?
No, just a new employee would come here. But when we've met with Local 484 and like office climate meetings and stuff, they have brought this to our attention that they're in favor of this to get more people here.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, Mr. Ostrowski?
Do we have any possible candidates right now that might fall into this?
Not at this time. In my chief's report, I'm going to go over, we're starting 2 next Monday in the Fire Academy, and that list is going to be exhausted. Or there's one name remaining on the list, and that when we run the new test, we'll offer that position out, and then we'll hire more people in March.
Well, in light of all the recent information we've heard from various sources, there is a competitive market out there. And I think, Chief, what you're asking for is just to be competitive. And I think that's makes total logic. In this day and age, we can't fall back on hard and fast. We have to be somewhat flexible because the work pool is it's changed. It's a different society. I would endorse this for the chief.
Well, the state legislature has, I think it's in committee, talking about incentives for law enforcement. They left for lateral transfers and they can use some of the state COVID money for training and stuff. But they didn't talk anything about fire department personnel, which I'm a little disappointed in the legislatures. But Chief Center will get the benefit of that.
I'm in support of this too. I mean, we need to do whatever we can to attract people, lateral moves, lateral, give them the salary that but based on the experience. So I'm definitely in support of it too.
Are we in support of it enough to make a motion?
I'll make
I
a
will-
motion. I'll make a motion to support. Looking here of exactly what it needs to be to increase the recruit salaries.
Second
For
that.
lateral movements?
Sure, for lateral movements.
Second
Chief
by
is, okay, we have a second by Morozic. Chief, is that going to cover everything that you needed to cover?
Yes, because any increase in salary, the way I read the contract, it says the Police and Fire Commission at its discretion. So any increase in salary, starting salary, would have to come before the Police and Fire Commission for approval. Because
Okay.
it's at your discretion to start them at the higher rate of pay.
Okay, so will that come back to us for every time that you want to use this?
Yes, that's the way the contract is written right now. Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions?
Chief, in the motion that's on the table, since it's open for discussion right now, do you want that motion to reference the article within the contract you're using?
It could say Article 19 salary subsection D, recruit salaries, if you want. You have it in
Because
front of
that would help clarify when you go forward to the PFC next time, what
Right.
this was actually what the motion was actually on.
Right, thank you, good point.
Thank you, Assistant Chief.
Chief,
Commissioner
what was
Kurz?
that? What was that number?
It's Article 19, Sub D, recruit salaries.
Commissioner Kirschling, is that all right to amend the motion that way?
Yeah, I was just gonna rephrase it to increase the recruit salaries per Article 19 sub D, recruit salaries.
Okay, who seconded that motion? Is that acceptable to the second too?
Yes, amendments are approved. Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more comments or questions? Thank you for that, JB. Appreciate it. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Chief, you have your your motion.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 8, which is the fire chief's report and EMS. So,
Okay. Outside the report that's written, I want to talk about February will be Heart Month. Heart Month, we're working with our liaison, Mary Kneebone, for heart healthy lifestyle. Sarah from the city's video department is going to make videos. Fire Marshal Egan is ready to drop 2 posts per week, Monday and Fridays for the month of February. And just wanted everyone to be aware of that. In January, I believe, I don't remember the date, Chief Gemza could correct me, 25th, I think, that we have 4 paramedic interns starting from Mid-State College. And then Monday, we have 2 new candidates starting, Jake Butler and Brian Fisher. They will be starting on Monday and going through the fire academy, then be put on shift. Also, I do want to point out to Commissioner Ostrowski, we did come under budget this year, sir. It was 1%. We were close, but we kept it. We kept it there.
I was watching that and I complimented you on that, Chief.
We didn't do as much spending in December as we used to, but it's gonna, when all the bills are paid, it's gonna be less than 1%. So
I realize those Chicago Bear fans have a problem with money, so I'm proud of you, Chief.
I'm looking at, well, let me go this way. Before I get into one of my last things, Does anybody have any questions on the fire chief's report itself that went out in the packet?
Chief Gemza, Assistant Chief Gemza, yes.
Chief, it's January 17th, they will start the forwarding.
All right, thank you.
Just for clarification.
Thank you. Okay, if not, I would like to point out, attached to the report was, and it should be noted, a thank you to MPO Larry Pingle for his 25 and a half years of service. Larry's last day will be January 9th of 2022. Larry was hired May 6th in 1996, and we're going to wish him well in his retirement. Also, on January 3rd, as I came into my office, as you have in front of you, I received a letter of resignation from Fire Marshal Egan. His last day will be February 3rd. There's a Police and Fire Commission meeting on February 1st. So I'll talk more about Drew on February 1st. But what I did when when I received Fire Marshal Egan's letter, I tasked Chief Moody, who's in charge of fire department operations, to look at the job description, make sure it was updated, get it ready for posting so it could be posted right, posted for internal and external candidates, and he will work with Lisa Yakush, our HR director, to make sure it gets posted the proper way and for 30 days. I do know that Chief Moody is part of the process for the fire chief. I don't think this matters. And the reason being is that if Chief Moody does not get the position as fire chief, Chief Moody will be this person's direct supervisor as chief of operations. And if he does get the job of fire chief, then he would be part of Chief Moody's management team. So I'm just letting you know, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief Moody now. He's put a lot of work in it since January 3rd to talk to you guys today about the process and how it's going to play. Chief, you want to take it, please?
Sure. As the chief said, he kind of summed everything up. Due to the unforeseen resignation of the Fire Marshal, Andrew Egan, the management staff is going to start a new hiring process to fill the position. We do have a few qualified candidates within the department, but are unsure if anyone is truly interested in the position currently. To move the process forward, and if no one is interested internally with the position, we are that much further ahead by starting the process the way we would like to. What we've learned going through this process in the past is that there's a much larger candidate pool out there that we were not aware of, and there's much more interest in the position than what we're aware of as well. After hiring Drew last time through the through this process and promoting him to the division chief of the Bureau, Fire Investigations, Inspections, and Pub Ed. There were a lot of other people who were interested in the position that had contacted me from outside the department within the state as well. We've reflected on that, and with the membership from within the department that has talked to us, if we can hire from the outside, we wouldn't be taking anyone else off the line during the staffing shortages. Basically, it would be like a lateral transfer, like we talked about earlier, from potentially one bureau to another. This is something our membership has stated that would help with recruitment intention as well. So we think it's important to address that concern. Another issue we face with the position, and something I'm going to have to talk to Lisa about at HR, and we're going to have to bring back to Baker Tilly, is the pay difference between the two division chiefs currently within the department. Currently, the two division chiefs are not on the same pay grade, and that needs to be addressed before we go out through this next process. we've updated the job description. Fire Marshal or Division Chief Egan and I have sat down and gone through it top to bottom. We've got it updated. We're going to be working with HR and going through this, through the hiring process. We'd like to put it out on NeilGov for a 30-day period and then run the interview process. What we'd like to do is, with moving forward with this position, we'd potentially like to have somebody in place the week of March 14th, if at all possible. So that's the time frame that we're looking at to have a new candidate in the division chief's position here within the Fire Bureau. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Question for you. You say the 2 division chiefs. For the sake of our new people on the commission, would you state who the 2 division chiefs are?
Yes, currently the 2 division chiefs, we have a division chief of the Fire Bureau who is Andrew Egan, and we also have a division chief of training who is Trevor Howard.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, JV. Do you have anything else to add? Okay.
Not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Finn.
Unless there's any questions on what Chief Moody just said or any other issues or anything that's written in the report, my report is concluded.
Okay, anything on the EMS report, Mr. Gemza?
No, Chief Finn mentioned the February 28th being, we're going to be celebrating Heart Month. We'll be working with Portage County EMS with that project. Other than the fact that we did respond to our responses, we're up about 352 runs this year of just general responses. And so that'll be something we'll be looking at as we move forward over the next year to see kind of where those, if those were a one-off, where we have patients that have generally call on a regular basis, or if this is a trend that we're starting to see in reasons for the call.
Okay, thank you very much. Chief Commissioner Ostrowski.
Joe, I noticed Medic 2 is still out of order. What is the situation on Medic 2?
I have some really good news for you. Medic 2 is back in service now. The county garage and Scafidi kind of came up with a game plan. The valve that was currently plugged up, they can't get the part for it. Ford isn't making it. So what they opted to do was clean it at this time, run it until the part can get in. So it's currently just went into service this week, and they'll be utilizing it. And I guess they'll be tearing it apart each time they have to clean it until the actual repair can be made.
And the new ambulances, the contracts have been signed for them?
The new ambulances have been signed, and like I told you, is that the chassis were being built. I just got word this week that they have moved into the manufacturing section of it now. So the boxes are being built with the chassis. So the chassis were shipped there, and they'll be built. We're anticipating sometime this spring. So that's really good news in today's limited parts.
It'd sure be nice to get back on our original schedule.
It sure would be. And 2 thumbs up to County Garage for keeping us up and running and their ability to put together a maintenance schedule and a fleet schedule. So,
wow. Very nice. Anything else, Mr. Chief Gemza? No. Okay. We need a motion. Anyone?
Motion to accept the fire chief and ambulance service report.
Okay. We have a motion from Commissioner Ostrowski. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Kersling. Joe, you're muted, by the way, but that's all right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 9. I will make a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985-1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. And 19.851, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. For discussion on the following. A, discussion with fire department management staff and a city attorney regarding the letter sent to the PFC by Local 484, dated December 21st, 2021, regarding the creation of the battalion chief position and aspects of such change related to items contained within collective bargaining agreement with Local 484. B, review of interviews and deliberation regarding advancement of candidates for the fire chief position. So that's the motion. We have a second.
Second, Morozek.
Seconded by Commissioner Morozek. Leanne, would you please call the roll?
Kirschling,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Morozek,
Yes.
Ostrowski,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, we are now going to move into closed session. Thank you all very much for attending.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.